Why don't we say a word of prayer together, and I'll let you in on what we're doing today, okay? Let's go ahead and pray. Heavenly Father God, thank you so much for allowing us to be here tonight.
That's right.
Thank you for the way you bless us every single day and minute of our lives. We pray for those that are still traveling, keep them safe. Yeah. And we thank you for our guests tonight, God, taking time out of other busy schedules to give you a blessing to us. God, we thank you for everything. God, we just pray that you can open wide our hearts so we can really learn how to be the most effective for you.
That's right.
And to glorify you with all of our gifts. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
You guys doing okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We got a special treat today. And I'll explain a little bit more really. All right, Walter will explain more. But the overall thing of the night is really, once you get past K-12, we're going to be discussing tonight all the opportunities available to you through education. And the opportunities are there, how to take advantage of opportunities, everything you need to know. If you're graduating high school, you're thinking about going to college, if you're in college, trying to think about the opportunities you have to go to grad school, if you're working, trying to figure out how you can jumpstart your career, these are the people to talk to. They're very smart. So intelligent people. Yes. They're taking time out of the schedule. So this is a blessing to us. It's kind of information that you pay a lot of money for.
Yes.
Or God can bless you for free tonight.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Well, you can buy the video.
I strongly advise you to give you full attention, and this is information for you, but also people that you love. Take good notes, and maybe you can change someone's life. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, you guys know Dr. Walter Gospel. Let's put this together for once. And I'm going to let Dr. Gossett introduce himself and the Super Friends.
Okay.
And we'll go from there. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, it's always a good thing when you can pick up the phone and Pastor Davis, he called and said, we want to do a panel speaking about education, everything that he just said. He said, could you put a group of people together? And I said, well, let me look at it and we'll work on it. I know we're going to have be able to get some people. And I called each of my good friends here, and I only had to call one time. Pick up the phone. Yeah. And they said, we will be here. And so, that made me feel very special because, the relationship that I've worked with them in one capacity or another. And so we tried to get an array of gamut of people so that we can appeal to everyone in the crowd. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay, great.
So let's start right here.
I'm Milo Coleman. I'm actually a parent of a student that was in high school and was in dual enrollment, and he graduated from Jeff State with a computer programming certification. He's now at Montevallo. He is in his first semester, but he is a sophomore on his way to be a junior.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
So,
and this is a very modest family. Very modest family. So
I'm very happy. I'm very happy for him because I'm not paying for this. I'm not paying for this.
Do you mind if I can just tell just a little bit more of your story? Okay. So her son was in the 10th grade, and I was superintendent of Fairfield at the time. He was in the 9th grade. He was in the 9th grade, and it was a group of kids, and we had a 5-year plan, and we said we want to give these kids the maximum experience, in educational experience. Wow. And so, we did fine arts and stuff like that. But we had a group of kids, man, that we said, we looked at that data and we said, we think we could do something really special with this group of kids. I think we started with about 10 people when we first started. And we said we was going to do a dual enrollment program with these 10 kids with the goal of by the time they finish high school, they will graduate with an associate's degree.
Wow. Wow.
And that we didn't want it to cost them anything.
Wow.
And so her son, Micaiah, actually graduated from Jeff State with his short certificate, associates, 1 week before he got his high school.
Wow. Wow.
And how much did it cost him?
I paid 47 cents for a Scantron for him to take a test.
To get that whole thing.
And they gave him 50 cents back.
Yeah. So books, materials,
Everything.
Wow.
Everything.
And we're going to talk about, right, and we're going to talk about how does that happen? How do we do that, right? How can we go through school with no debt or little debt.
Right. Yes.
And the next person she's gonna introduce herself, she was the person responsible for making sure that his son gets in that program,
Wow.
her son gets in that program, and others to make that happen.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Janina Nobles, and I had the pleasure of working with Dr. Gonsley. I was the career coach for a year for Midfield, Fairfield, and Bessemer. I've been working in higher ed for 15 years, working with high schoolers, helping them transition from high school to college with Upward Bound, with Gear Up. I worked at Lawson State with their Gear Up program and worked with students as young as 7th grade to help them get the skills that they needed to be able to compete academically. So starting as young as 7th graders to kind of transition, and I've worked with Mila for, gosh, a long time. It takes a village to make dual enrollment work. And it was one of those things where having someone, I met her at work giving her books to make sure her son had the books that he needed so he could take the class that he needed, for him to be able to walk across that stage and be able to do what he did. And so I'm kind of here, I guess, from a couple of different perspectives, both being K through 12 and being a liaison between K through 12 and the community college. And now I'm actually teaching full time. And so I'm teaching child development and psychology. So I'm moonlighting a little bit.
Yeah, and when we get more into this discussion, again, I got a modest panel here, guys, because one of the things I want Dr. Nobles to really talk about and to color for you guys is what is expected, what should be expected of our educators. How far do they go to make sure that a child should go to make sure that a child and you are very successful? And she's going to talk about some of those things. She talked about, meeting the parent at work to get the books, right? Or making sure that kids taking the final exam on her computer, making sure they have computers, setting them up in the library, whatever it was to make sure that these kids were successful so that when they graduate from college, they would have that degree, right? And we'll talk about that more. So next.
Okay. Well, I'm Carl Pruitt, the Associate Dean of Liberal Arts and Science and College Transfer Programs at Lawson State. And I had the pleasure of working with Dr. Gosselin for a couple of years when he was superintendent at Fairfield. He was a visionary, and he had a vision in terms of developing academies and a career path where they could start at the 9th grade, and by the time they get through the 12th, they could at least either have a short certificate, a long certificate, or an associate degree. And I have 4 kids, and my last child is going through Lawson State. 2 of my kids have gotten scholarships. They did dual enrollment. My son now has a presidential scholarship at UA. And this is his last year. And he went to Lawson, got a great education, very competitive. He did research during the summer, 4 weeks, $5,000 he got paid. And we have a bridge program with UAB, so there's a lot of opportunities. And we will get to talk about the importance of education and good grades. But I think about the money that I saved with him coming to Lawson. If you think about tuition at UA, 15, maybe 20,000 a semester, where I saved that for 2 years at Lawson without really paying anything because he became an ambassador, and he got ambassadors paid for his whole 2 years. And all they had to do was to buy his books, pay for his books. But he was smart. He got mad, but he took 17, 18 hours every semester. And he could have graduated a semester early, but he wanted to stay to get Cal in and physics in, so he didn't have to take those classes at UA. But I just think the importance of including parents in this process. And we have, as parents, we have to stay on our kids. And my kids are very diligent, but still, let me see your grades. Have you done your work? Get off the video games. Even now, at UA, you stay at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning play video games. They ain't get mad if I tell them to get up and take this dog out. But for his academics, he'll stay up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning doing his work. But we as parents we have to kind of ride our kids and keep them focused.
Yeah.
And keep
Even
their
while
eyes
in
on
college,
the prize.
Yeah.
Why he in college?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole 2 years in Lawson. But the good thing is, he was very dedicated, and I had the pleasure of teaching him a couple of classes, and he would come 2 o'clock,
Wow.
Daddy, I need help, can you explain this to me? And that was just dedication, and I appreciate that, but we have good faculty, we have great staff, and sometimes going to smaller places, they prepare you, and I heard somebody say take a village, it really does. And I like, you want a family environment, so kids don't get lost in the shuffle in the process, but through his vision and getting our kids the education of all the opportunities that are there that they don't know about, and the importance starting early, getting good grades, staying on top of them, I think is very important. And us as parents, we need to show that. And you'll be amazed of the parents that are coming back getting degrees. Yeah.
And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get all of you guys. You know, you might have thought you was coming here to hear about how you can encourage somebody else. What we try to do is to make sure we can encourage everybody.
It's important.
Right, it's for you too.
Because right now, I'm gonna stop, but my wife and my daughter both are working on their masters in social work. And they're at A&M. They don't have to go to A&M because A&M is on our campus. You can get a BS in social work at A&M. You can get a master's in social work at A&M. You can get a BS in computer business administration. You get an MBA at Lawson from A&M. Never have to go to Huntsville.
So, I just want to make sure everybody understands this. So Lawson is a 2-year community college.
Right.
But what he's saying is that, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that through effective partnerships and groups thinking it, you know, non-traditionally, that UA,
A&M,
which is in Huntsville,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
They actually have an extension on that campus.
Wow.
And so people are getting those degrees right here
Wow.
at Lawson, right? And later on, we're gonna talk about funding too, guys, because that's very key. You gotta really be smart about this stuff, right? Yes, next.
And I'm Nancy Wilson, I'm the Assistant Dean for Career Tech at Lawson State. Carl Pruitt has the transfer side of things, so if you're gonna take a course and go to a 4-year institution, you go take his classes. If you're gonna go to work from a 2-year, then that's my side.
Okay.
So I'm over welding, manufacturing, robotics, cosmetology, air
Graphic
conditioning,
design.
building construction, drafting and design. I can name just about anything you can imagine that you want to do, I can find it, or we can figure out how it works. Another part of that would be business. That's not really under me, but it is part of the college. I'm on the other side. I don't have kids that are in school. It's just me. But I was one of those that started school straight out of high school because that's what my father and my mother said I was supposed to do.
Right.
But I was a first generation college student, so I took 3 semesters and dropped out. Okay? So I'm one of those that just couldn't quite find my path. So I had majors from accounting to some kind of medical something, I don't know. I went through every major you can imagine in those 3 semesters. Okay?
Ms. Wilson, you kept changing your major.
I did, but I never found what I wanted to do. So I decided I had to have a job. So I went to be a secretary. And y'all don't know me, he does, but if you knew how far off that is from me. But I was a secretary for about 4 years, and a guy came to fix our copy machine. And while he was fixing our copy machine, I actually stood over and was watching and realized how fascinated I was by him repairing that. And started figuring out how to go back to school for that.
Wow.
So I started back to school for electronics, and then went from electronics to mechanical, and went from mechanical to criminal justice. I'm not real sure how that happened. I really did have a plan with that. I wanted to be a electronic technician in the FBI. It just didn't quite work out that way. To be honest with you, my mother prayed me out of it. And then went from there to process controls. So I have a master's degree in process controls now, but I would have never gone back to college had I not found something I liked. So while you're telling your student, your children or whatever that they need to go back to school, make sure that they are interested in what they want to do. Because if they're not interested, I don't care how much you harp on them, they'll never do it.
Yeah.
Can we start right there with the
Sure.
panel discussion? You know, so let me just talk about this, guys, because a lot of people, when we talk about going to school, and you ask them, well, why are you going to school? Why are you going to college? Why are you doing this? You know, I think you need to connect it to your interest, and you hear this word a lot, your passion.
Yeah.
You gotta find out what your passion is, you know, and that means that you're gonna have to be able to sit down and do a self-evaluation. Now, some of us, you know, we might even have to go talk to our parents, our friends, other people to say, okay, what is this? What am I interested in? What is that thing that is gonna push me, you know, that I'm gonna go after no matter what, you know? I'm 27 years in education, guys, and one of the things that people ask me all the time, you know, how do you like it? Do you like your job, or is it hard? And I said all of the above. But I feel like I get up every morning and I get to go to a place, as opposed to I have to go.
Right.
You know, there's a difference, right? And so since we're here in the house of the Lord, I can say this as well, is that, you know, you have to really tap into God to figure out, what am I supposed to be doing?
Exactly right.
And you know, if you make it all about you doing it for you, then chances are you're probably not going to be that successful, right? But if you tap into that, I'm getting this degree, I'm doing what I'm doing, so that it can be a ministry, it can be a help to someone else, or to the bigger spectrum, I guarantee you'll find your way, and then you'll get up every day and say, I get to go here, as opposed to I have to go here.
Right.
Yeah, so, yes.
I was going to ask a question, I guess, from the K through 12 perspective. As a parent that sees the, push of the world and the ambition to achieve, and got to do this in math, you got to do this in science. I guess my question is at what age do you start prompting your child to ask himself or herself those questions, and, how do you do that?
When does it start, right?
Yeah, like my daughter's 11,
Right.
and I know that being married to an educator, it's like you have to be careful. You don't want to push them too much, but how do you do that to get them to be motivated to start asking themselves those questions?
I mean, I was gonna say, that one, it resonates for me. I don't have any birth children. I have lots of, other children. My niece is 9. My nephew is 11. I went to the University of Alabama, and I saw how the culture was different with exposure. Where some of my counterparts, when I was at UA, their children were born on that campus. And it built an expectation, an unspoken expectation of, I can be here one day. But I think it's important that we expose children as well.
When?
And so now, in a stroller.
Yeah.
In a stroller, now. And so, even if it's something as, I've already taken my niece and nephew on college tours. This is what a university looks like. Dream big. You don't have to, it's not just, let's just look at Alabama Auburn on TV. Let's go to the campus. Let's go to when they do a community event so you can see what it looks like. It sets an unspoken expectation to, I can do this, I can be here.
Is it just a 4-year college?
No.
Yeah, so a 2-year college, y'all, Birmingham, the metro area of Birmingham has so many resources, right? And so many different things that a lot of times we hear, we don't really know that it's here. But guys, they got the fine arts, they got how many jobs we got around. So finding those things that you can expose kids to so that you can identify what are their interests.
You said she's 11?
Yes.
Okay. So there are other things you can do that I personally did with my son. You start if you notice they're into ballet or fishing, take them to the lake, take them to a ballet. If you notice that they're more geared toward math, you don't have to push it, but you can just take them to events where you see competitive math. Exposure, like she said, exposure is key. It doesn't matter if it's not what's common, what other kids are doing. Don't worry about that. My son he never went with the crowd. He always went way over there.
So
and
you're
did odd
balancing,
stuff.
you're balancing
Right.
exposure with
Mhm.
interest, right?
And you never deter them. If you have a child that says, I like to paint, don't tell them, oh, well, artists don't make money. No, you take them to the Museum of Arts, you take them to see spray painted walls that are just beautiful. You show them the different types of painting. I mean, you've got to broaden that small light into something bigger. And then show them something completely different, because just because they like A, you show them all these other options, they may pick that option that they never thought they would like and run with it, secretary to, I mean, but seriously, that's what you have to do, and it doesn't matter how old they are, they can be 2.
In Michelle Obama's new book that she just released, you know, one of the things she talks about is that when, as kids are growing up, sometimes you put them in a box, and we ask them what you're going to do when you grow up, as if it's one single thing, right? And so, yeah, I want y'all to listen to the words that you speak and your children speak. So if you ask your child, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? Just listen to them. At some point, you start hearing some of these same things. A lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, and you say, well, where are you getting this from? You know, have you, I'm being television, but it's really not my interest. It's just what I'm hearing. So that's what I'm going to go to. That tells us a couple of things. That really, they need more exposure. They need more exposure to the many array of things, and then once they get that exposure, then you start saying, okay, I see that's the interest, and you're pushing forward. When I had this vision, I had this dream, Madison was going to be this beautiful, that's my daughter, she's going to be this beautiful pianist, she's going to play the beautiful music, and her dad's going to sit in a rocking chair and listen to her, right? Man, I went, as I get older, play dad's so big girl. And so I went, find a piano, put it in the house, right? And got the best teacher to set it up. Man, she did that thing all over in 2 weeks. No, right? But then science, put that putty and all that other stuff right up. Slime. Yeah, put the slime and all that stuff up there. Our whole kitchen turned into a science lab. So I can expose you to the music, but I'm starting to see a pattern. And it's important for us to see that in ourselves and in our children.
The other thing on your question, you can also use some practical applications and introduce her to math and other things in practical applications. So
that's educational jargon. Tell us what that means.
So if you go to the store and you buy something, let her add up the how much it cost. Buy a few things, let her add up how much it cost and figure out how much change she's going to get back. That's already starting to introduce her to math. So do things that are practical. I had 2 nieces, and I'm a little older than you are. Mine are in their 30s now, but they're actually nurses, RNs now. But I had to babysit them one night, and I was teaching that night, and so I just took them to work with me, and I told them, I said, sit in the back, do your homework, and just let me go ahead. I'll get class finished, and you just sit over there and listen. So I explained this electrical concept to my students, and it's called Ohm's Law, and it's algebra. And they were, one of them was 9 and one of them was 11, I believe, so right around the same age. And my students were asking questions, and I was explaining it, So on the way home that night, see, they're sitting in the back. I think they're not listening to a word I say. On the way home that night, one of them says, why couldn't your students get that? I understand that. And she just repeated it all back to me. So she knew how to do Ohm's Law, so when they went to school the next day, she told her teacher all about algebra and Ohm's Law. So,
They can get it.
they get
They
it,
can
and
get it.
even when you think they're not getting it,
They get it.
they're getting it.
Wow.
And
But I understand what
right.
I understand what you're saying. It's not pressure. You know, even from the school system, from society. You know, make the highest on this test, make the highest on that test, right? And scoring and tests, that's important. I don't want to dismiss that, guys. But there's something that's much more
Right.
important, and that's that individual person, and really exploring and putting into them everything they're supposed to. Right. That's the key. That's the key. So expose her. You watching, seeing, you know, like a coach. You're watching and say, okay, yeah, that's our area right there. So I'm gonna give her a little more of this, right? Or I'm gonna give him a little more of this, right?
But yeah, even with my kids grew up at Lawson State. When they were big enough to walk, I would take them to work with me. And, you know, I was science, I would dissect cats, dissect pigs, and even 5, 6, 7. I would sit there and give them a scalpel. They'll watch me dissect it, and then I would let them cut. I'll make sure I supervise them.
Yeah.
But they started there.
Yeah.
At home, you know, bones, I take stuff home. Even I taught high school for a little bit. I did physical science, I did math, chemistry, and biology, and they would see stuff. And my wife is artistic, a musician, and none of my kids like to play. We have bought guitars, we bought drums,
Wow.
pianos,
Wow.
and they hate it. They love medicine and they love science. And all of them wanted to do that, I guess, cause of me. But now I have a daughter who wanted to do that, but now she's doing social work. I have another daughter, she's more hands-on. So she works for a car, on that auto car out in Trussville. In Trussville. She likes to work with her hands and stuff like that. But they have been exposed. And like they mentioned, going on college tours, seeing colleges and things like that. But with me as an educator, I would let my kids go talk to the art teacher, talk to the music teacher. If they need tutoring in math, I would say, well, can you all let my kids, you know, and even in high school, I tell them to go sit in the back of the class and listen. And even my grandkids, my youngest one, he can break in my phone. They can play video games up the wazoo. And I just try to tell them, incorporate math, you know, do a little physics and things like that. But find something that they like and put something with it, because I talked to Ms. Wilson Nancy about it with some of our math students. We have good students, but some of the students in the career tech areas, they hate math. But I tell my math teachers, well, what maybe you need to do is incorporate angles, or do a building project where they have to measure something and cut it, and it's still math. So sometimes if you find what they like and their passion, you have to incorporate that in the classroom to help motivate them. Because everybody does not learn the traditional way, you know.
So let me ask you this, because I want to make sure we touch on the different areas of where we are. So what about if I have people, because we have some people here who are in college, right? Whether it's a 2-year or 4-year, and they really haven't honed in on exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, what is supposed to be my major? How would you advise them on something like that?
I was gonna say, I was that student. I'm a product of community college. I attended Bishop State down in Mobile, Alabama. And when I was in high school, I was in marketing. And I was in DECA and loved marketing. I wanted to be a retail buyer for Parisian. So my folks that's Birmingham that knows, you know, Parisian was that was the pinnacle at the time with Parisian. And I wanted to be a retail buyer. When I was in 10th grade, I started co-oping, and I was doing that and just loved it. I got to the community college, started taking the classes, I was miserable. Cried every day. I hated it. I loved the practical piece of it, but I hated economics and accounting and statistics, and I hated it. And so I kept my major as marketing. I started taking my core classes, English, history, math, science. I got into a psychology class, Psych 210. general psychology, and a light bulb went off. And it changed my life. And it was that one class, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love learning about why we do what we do when we do it. You know, you wonder, well, why is that child walking at this age? Or why is that adolescent hitting puberty at this age? That fascinated me. So I was like, well, I gotta take a second one. I'll take another one. And that class is the class that had me change my major. So when you're trying to figure it out, you never know out of those core classes, which one is gonna be your light bulb. Because I stayed a marketing major, took all my core classes, transferred to the University of Alabama, and a chance encounter with a guardian angel for my parents changed my life. Because I'm there taking my placement test at orientation, you know, I'm still a marketing major, I was gonna ride it out, I was gonna, try to stay with Parisians. I took my placement test. Some professor came out and was talking to my parents while I was testing. And they were just talking, what does she like and what is she good at and what's her passion? And they said, well, you need to look at the College of Human Environmental Science and look at Human Development and Family Studies. So I was like, that's a good fit for her. So we left out of my test, and my mom and dad don't know who this person is, who this lady is to this day. We go to the quad and, go to the Ferg and sit down. That's our student union at UA, if you guys aren't familiar with how UA is. We went there to have lunch, and we opened up the catalog, and I was in tears. Because I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
So even while you were in college, you were still exploring, right?
I'm still exploring.
Trying to find your way. But there was someone, a counselor, an advisor, your parents that you have to speak to so that you don't be all over the place. When I mean all over the place, spending 5, 6 years, and you still at the starting point, right? So you've got to find, and every university, every college has that department where you go and you sit down with someone, and you got to, that's going to take some effort from you, because you got to be hungry enough to go seek it. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes, and I will say this, my son thought he was going to go into computer science because he wanted to design video games, but he decided to reach out to gaming companies that he wanted to work for. He got more information from them because they specifically told him what they wanted to work there. So that's something you can also do if you're trying to decide, well, I've been in this for 2 years, but this is the company I want to work for. Reach out to that company, question them, go sit in. I had 30 Virginia College students sit with me.
Do you think this young lady, a company would be willing to sit down and talk with her about their experience while she's in school?
Yes, I'm going to tell y'all, I had 30 students from Virginia College that are in the pharmacy technician program. They came in and they shadowed. So every 2-3 months, we got a multitude of students that come in and they follow us around. That's a lot of people hovering over you when you're under a hood trying to work and they're asking questions. But it does not bother me because my son was in that position at one point. I was in that position at one point. Somebody in here was at that position where they had questions and just really wanted answers. So what's wrong with reaching out and asking? All they can do is say no, but they can also give you all the answers you need that's going to lead you in the right direction. So reach out.
Yeah, and someone on their campus, someone in this church, wherever, they know somebody. They know those things. But again, I want to just explore that hunger part, right? I mean, you got to want, nobody else could want it more than you want it. So you got to want it enough to go and be relentless. Like on a football field, right? He's telling about his training, running 32 times from 100 yards. And I said, what happens if you can't do it? And he said, well, right. What you mean, Doc? They get me to run 32 times. But the bottom line is, it transfers to your life. You gotta want it. You gotta want it better than anybody else. And you gotta seek out those things, and people will help you. People will help you.
But you got to go, you have to ask. And one thing I noticed when I teach as an instructor, I can tell when the light bulb goes off. And I can tell just looking at you if you don't know what I'm talking about. But I really can. And a lot of times I would just stop class. And a lot of my students are pre-professional. And what I'll just ask a simple question. How do y'all have parents, grandparents, kids that you go to the doctor with? And they raise their hand. I say, okay. Next question. You sit in my class, you come unprepared, you don't know anything. So what if that nurse did the same thing when they were in class that's taking care of your loved one? How would you feel? And I tell all my students, I don't care what day or what time, a patient will go south on you. Nothing you can do. Nothing. And I said, what you gonna do? Tell them to don't die till I can go read something? So I tell my students, you need to be able to know what you know and be able to help people. Because you are putting your trust in a healthcare giver. And if they just squeak through and they really don't know what they're doing, you have people's lives in your hands. So you need to think about that when you sit in my class.
And that's that other part. That's that other part about, it's not just about you. It's not just about making a living, but it's about, creating a life.
Right.
To where you're giving back. A lot of times, we're living in this materialistic world.
Right.
Where everybody want to, I want to make the most money, right? They have a big house, drive a fancy car. I don't even know what the hip word is today. But anyway, that's where you got to really just know why you're doing what you're doing.
What you want to do.
Yeah, I got one other thing that I want to hit, a couple of things I want to hit on, make sure we get everybody. So, Nancy, you talked about, you said, I dropped out, or we got some people that have never gone, but they're not happy where they are, right? And they're contemplating school, but they have a family. They have 3, 4.
A lot of students in that same situation.
Talk to me about that.
We have a lot of students that are actually working full-time, they have families. And we have our classes set up now where students can come in 2 nights a week. So it's still a commitment, and you're still away from your family for 2 nights a week. But at least with just being away 2 nights a week, you can kind of work through it. Now, it takes you a lot longer to get finished, but I advise my students when they have a family and a full-time job like that not to take more than 2 nights a week, because it's much better to take you a longer time to get that degree. And I know they call it a 2-year degree, but that means if you're going full-time for 2 years. So, I've had students that it's taken them 5 years to get an associate's degree, but they're only coming out 2 nights a week so they can still have time with their family. And sometimes that's just as important as making a life later on.
But they got the degree.
But they got the degree.
Right.
And I've had students come up and say, the reason I got this degree was for my child. Because now my child doesn't have to be the first one to go to college. I know what to do to help them get this, and now they can see me going through it. So we go do our homework together. So, you can do it, it's just a matter of working through it. Something else you said about finding somebody to help you. And one thing you got to think about when you're finding somebody to help you is be honest. Be honest. Don't tell me what your mother wanted you to do. Don't tell me the pat answer that you heard on TV or what you think the world wants me to do. You've got to be honest about what you want to do. Back to my story. I was put in a box. And back in the day, and I really don't want to tell you how long ago, so I'm just going to leave that alone, but back then, women just did not go into electronics. It just did not happen. So my parents thought I was supposed to do something female. Okay, I mean, really,
Yeah,
do something that a girl would like to do.
yeah.
Well, my father had no boys, and I was the youngest, and when he was working on cars, guess who was right there with him? So I like that kind of stuff, but that's not what I tried to do. So I tried to fit into the mold that society set for me, and that just never worked. So when I got out and actually found what my passion actually was, I really honestly never thought I'd be teaching either. That was never in the cards for me. It wasn't my plan, it was God's plan. So, you know, like I said, I had it in my plan to be an FBI agent.
Yeah.
That just wasn't what the Lord had.
Ms. Wilson,
So-
and anyone on here, because I want to make it practical so people can understand. When people come in and you're advising, can you tell right away whether they are being honest and truthful about
Most of the time.
most of the time? Yeah, you can tell.
But a lot of times we'll have younger students that come in and you ask them what they like doing. I don't know. But what do you, if you had 5 hours to do anything you wanted to do, what would you do? Well, I don't know.
Right.
And then I have a lot of them tell me they'd read a book, and I said, really? You'd read a book?
Not telling the truth, right?
And you know, and you listen to those answers, and you do have to kind of pull through them sometimes. So we actually have found some pretty good programs that students can go on, and it shows them pictures. So there's no words, they can't figure out, you know,
What's the
and they.
right answer, right?
That's right, and it has like 4 pictures, and it says, which of these things would you like to do most? And you check the one you'd like to do most, and you check the one you'd like least. And to be honest, it's been pretty accurate.
Yeah, well,
You know, a lot of, we have a student today with that came to my table, and Nancy was standing over there, and she heard the conversation. She always takes over what I'm doing anyway. But she walked over and talked to the young man, and first thing we asked, well, what do you want to do? I don't know. Well, and the reason why we asked is because of the classes you take, if you're going to be science or non-science. So Nancy came over, she started talking to the young man. She took him downstairs to her mechatronics lab and her robotics lab. He had no clue what he wanted to do, but he had a passion and a love. I don't know what she said to him downstairs, but when he came back upstairs, he had a mindset and a path that he wanted to pursue. So he didn't need my information anymore. He needed Nancy's information. But it's the thing of exposure, and what she said, look at this picture, look at that picture, look at this one, and which one do you like?
Man, from here I can go so many different places, but I want to make sure I catch everything. But I want to go back to those non-traditional students, people who may have families, and because, you know, I learned several years ago, and I heard the speaker speak, and it makes sense, but, you know, we live our lives that's, you know, almost with serendipity. Like we say, oh, I got lucky and it happened, right? Or I'm waiting for something, you know, for luck to hit me, and then I go to this path, right? But guys, we got to get to the point where we understand that nothing beats a good plan. Right? You've got to plan this thing out. So I'm going to go back to the non-traditional. If you decide, wherever you are in your life, you know, that you want to go back to school, or go back to training, do something else, if you're married, you're going to really have to be able to sit down with that significant other, right? And you guys are going to have to come up with a plan that works for you. You got to talk about it, you know. So I'm going to school 2 nights a week. What does that mean? What does that mean for the children? Who's going to pick them up from school? Who's going to help them with the homework? So you got to work it out. And whoever decides to go back to school at that time, the other one has to be the cheerleader.
Yeah.
Has to be the cheerleader.
That's right.
Because you have to be in it together, right? And you remind, 5 years, I know it might seem like a long time, but man, if you live to see 5 years,
Yeah.
either you're going to have it or you're not.
Right.
If you don't have it, you're probably going to be right where you are still saying, man, I hate this job. I hate where I am. Or you make that sacrifice, and as a team, you guys figure it out and go for it, you know.
And I wanted to actually add something to that, because my classes, I teach completely online. So all of my students are online. I have students from Michigan to Mississippi.
Wow.
And so I have everybody from high schoolers to grandmas in my program. And so it creates a different opportunity for people that are working or going to school full-time or working full-time, have families. I have some that are in their 50s, never been to school at all. This is their first college experience.
Wow.
Their grandchildren are in high school helping them with their homework. And so my thing is this is never too late. You know, like if you still have a passion, you know, I would hope that everybody is still evolving. We're still learning, we're still growing.
Right.
You know, we should be growing to the time that we leave this earth. In some way, form, or fashion, doing something, learning something new. And so, you know, with my students that are online, I have a lot of them that are computer literate. A lot, in an online program that aren't computer literate. I mean, and so, but having instructors that care, that really want to see them succeed, and say, okay, well, tell me what you're having problems. I was doing phone conferencing. We use a software called Canvas. That's our learning management system. That's what we use. So that's how I communicate with my students. I do online office hours. And so for my full-timers that are working and can't call in the middle of the day, guess what? I'm online from 8 to 10 at night. So, you know, those are things that for me are important for me to include them. I don't want them to feel like they're just a student. You know, and when I advise, because I have 150 advisees, my thing is, what is your goal? My goal is your goal. You know, I'm not just trying to push you over here or push you over there. If your goal is, hey, I just want to take these 2 classes and get through these 2 classes this semester, and then we'll address next semester, you know, or if, hey, I got to get these 3 classes because for me to keep my job, I got to take these classes, but I've never been to college before. And they changed all of the rules. You know, I'm seeing that a lot right now with the first class Alabama pre-K. You know, they're creating all these pre-K programs, and you have people that may have just gone straight from high school, and they've been, you know, working as an aide in the school, and now they got to take some college classes to keep the job. And they're in their 30s or 40s, you know, or they're 50s.
So the market could demand that,
Exactly.
hey, if you want to keep a job here, you got to go back. So that are constant growing. I want to just, so kids or people, I don't say kids, people who are in school, especially those who are first-time freshmen trying to find their way, with employment and jobs. You know, some kids feel like they have to go to school full-time. I mean, work full-time and go to school. Talk to us about that a little bit, anybody.
We have some internship programs, so that the students, we have several different pathways and methods, so the students are actually learning their trade, and then they go and practice at work. So they're actually getting training both ways.
And
So we have some right now that come to school 8 weeks, and then they leave after that 8 weeks and go to work 8 weeks.
are they getting paid?
And they're getting paid. Some of them go to school Monday through Thursday and work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if they need them on Sunday. Some of them are going to work Monday and Wednesday, and they work Tuesday and Thursday. I have another group that they work all day, come to class 2 nights a week, and that's the way their internship's set up.
And the
So-
school helps them find those internships, right?
So we're helping them find those, and we've had organizations that set some of those up. Have a machine tool program right now. If y'all don't know what machine tool is, they take metal and basically carve, grind, sand metal, and make things out of it. And there is a big need for that right now. We have a whole bunch of companies in Shelby County, and they found the students and sent them to me. So they have an internship, but the companies actually hired the students and then sent them out to us.
How much, what's the starting
we
salary
work
after they
with
finish, something like that?
I think they started them out while they're in school. I want to say it's 16 or 18 an hour, and when they graduate, when they graduate, it'll be 25, I believe. And just one side note, I was teaching in the in the mechatronics program, and my first graduate that started with me and then graduated from the college brought his W-2 back, and he made more money than I did.
Wow.
So the money will come, right?
So,
You just gotta find your passion, get a lot of resources, you talk to these people. A lot of people are saying, well, I'm in school, I need a full-time job, right? Well, then that's where you need to sit down with somebody at a particular program, tell them what your needs are. Why do you need a full-time job? Now, if you need a full-time job so you can be big baller or whatever, and I know that's a turn back in the day, but anyway. I know that's what you have to.
I'm feeling you though. You feel it.
And I was gonna say, like, that was me. I worked 3 jobs when I was going to the University of Alabama. My parents didn't have the money. They couldn't sign for me to get a loan. I mean, like, I didn't even qualify for Pell by $2. $2. So, you know, I literally went up to Tuscaloosa from Mobile with my trunk with all of my stuff, because that's how, you know, we used to go off college years ago. You know, you had your trunk, you know, you had your trunk with your stuff, and they took buy my school supplies. That's it. That's all I had. But God gave me favor with people. And so, first day there, one of the admissions counselors, hey, we have book scholarships. You from Mobile? We got some left over that somebody didn't take. Had a book scholarship. Once I got at the college and started getting acclimated into it, the dean came into McRae's, because if you know old school, McRae's is the sister to Freedom. Okay. So let me give you background. Okay, so I'm in McRae's, running it, working, because I didn't have a choice. And she came and said, Janine, what are you doing here? I said, I got a word. She said, come see me Monday morning. That was a Saturday. I'm like, can I help you? What you looking for? You know, I'm servicing her because she's my client at this point. I went in, she gave me a job. Wow. And then she gave me a scholarship. One chance encounter. Favor. And so, you know, I was being obedient with what I had. I knew I had to work. I knew I didn't have any options. So still coming in contact with people and keeping a good attitude in spite of what the situation looks like makes a difference.
So there are resources that
are there that you
are
have
there
no
for you,
idea.
but you gotta talk to someone.
And start young,
Go
please.
ahead.
Start young. It's not just for college-age kids. Young kids. My son went to high school. He took dual enrollment, but his classes were online and he had a hybrid class. So he goes to class some days and he's online. Days he had actual physical high school classes, he didn't go to Jeff State. He cut that computer on and he took the class and he talked to the professor. So as parents, you have to take time too. So you're gonna miss a day of work to introduce yourself to that professor, to let them know, hey, this is the high school student, you know. They're gonna understand because they want that child in their class because they wanna see them succeed. They don't want them to fail. But also, he worked at Chick-fil-A. So he did all of that, and it is possible. So like you said, you know, you don't have to work full-time. That kid worked 12 hours a week sometimes. Sometimes he might work 18, sometimes 3 hours in a week. So it's things out there, and those jobs that you get that you don't think is a lot, they have scholarships. There's scholarships at Chick-fil-A. I mean, you know, you might think, well, I'm in school now. I've gotten all my scholarships. There's still more. There are a lot more sites. I mean, continuing education as an adult, you know, you can find scholarships. As a student, if you've got a toe that's just extra long, there is a scholarship. I'm serious. If you're left-handed, there is a scholarship for you. You know, so there are multiple sites that you can reach out. Because I had to, as a parent, you have to do the research. You can't just depend on the school. You can't fuss at the school and say you didn't help me. What did you do as a parent? You have to sit down and you have to search and you have to help. And it takes a village. It takes the world to get a kid through school and not pay for it. And if you're a student in college already, you still have to have people helping you. You're not an adult. You think because you're done, oh, I'm out of high school. No, don't ever call yourself an adult. No, stay a child, trust me. You want the help. You really want that help. You want somebody telling you, well, hey, I found these scholarships on this site. I'm constantly telling people, well, these are the sites, you know, my son went on, or these are the sites, you know, one of our coworkers went on that's 45 years old going back to college. She didn't know that there was a full scholarship for her. She got one.
Do y'all hear the commitment from the parents, grandparents, parents? You know, that's what it is. Man, it doesn't matter if you don't know, right? If you've never done
And
it.
they have scholarships for kids starting at 10.
Wow.
Just saying.
I mean, and go on some of the college's website, how many of y'all know that we have a pastoral scholarship? Yeah, we have a pastoral scholarship. If you have a pastor, he can contact Miss Albright and get on our list. And he can grant a scholarship to one of his members that's graduating. And it's a full ride as long as they maintain a B average for the 2 years. Okay? Yeah. Also, we have a STEM program. And if you go on the website, 10th, 11th, 12th, you can come in for the summer. You can get exposure. And they travel, they go to colleges, they go to like Fisk, Meharry, they go to engineering firms. And they get a stipend. They get like $1,000 stipend. They do a research, they do entrepreneurship. And those are things that are out there. And then when they graduate, if they want to come to Lawson and be a STEM major, that first summer, the grant will pay for them to take 2 college classes while they're doing the STEM program that senior year.
A lot of resources.
A lot of resources.
Anybody have,
And Shawanda has a girls program.
There's a girls impact program too,
right.
also during the
That,
summer.
and during the summer, then she recruited a girl from the black belt, and she's here, and she's getting a full ride. And then we have the ambassador scholarship. If you come in with a 3.5, you just had to do community hours. And when Obama was here, the ambassadors got to interact with him. They get to interact with the governor, things that Congress people, legislators, full ride.
so let me ask y'all this. Does anyone know of anybody that's in either these children that's in this school district? Jefferson County, Bessemer, Birmingham, Midfield, or Fairfield? Just those. Anybody knows someone in the 6th or 7th grade in those areas right now? Right. So right now there's the Gear Up grant that those districts have just received. So what happens is these kids participate from 6th grade to 12th grade. While they're participating in that, their parents can actually go to college for free.
Wow.
While they're participating.
Yeah.
At now, the 2-year college.
Right.
Right. While they're participating, their parents can go and pay. So it may be a good thing, and we just might need to get a website of resources so that we can let people know what's going on. And those children, if they participate in that program throughout, they can go to a community college, 2-year college for free as well. Or their siblings. Or their siblings.
Yeah, I think there may be fees, but
Okay.
we're talking still.
Minimal amount compared to, right.
And so those options are out there, guys. We just got to know what those things are. And I saw you had a question, Mark.
Yes, sir. I was gonna ask I have to put it together, but I was gonna ask like I know with me this my third year. I've been I asked teachers, I've been to advisors, I asked different people, you know, where I could basically for this 3 years been looking for a scholarship thing. And then my thing is I think I'm looking for help. So I was just like you said, you brought up building the website for resources. I think what kind of resource outside of school that I could get myself into to look for these things.
We'll get with some of these. Yeah, we'll get with some of these panelists. And panelists will get some of those things to you. And I'd like to sit down and talk with you too, because if you're attending a university, a college, or whatever, and people can't help you, they can't answer your questions, you need to reevaluate that too.
What's your major?
Criminal justice.
Right like
And you might think it's not
Where you school at?
Go to Miles.
Miles College. I'm gonna give you my card, but seriously, when you get through, give me a call. I have a young lady who's over our criminal justice department. She's outstanding. She does a lot of forensic science, and she can really kind of tell you some good opportunities and places to go. But again, once you get through at Miles, think about A&M and a master's degree in criminal justice.
Yeah, go ahead.
I did a couple of internships this past summer, but it's things that's like with criminal justice, it's hard to find out the intern. Yeah, I know that's right.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
it's a
just
lot,
got to
it's
talk
a
to the
lot,
right people.
yeah, you just,
Yeah.
when you start branching out and you do internships with certain companies, what you do is you take that time and you do that research and you see if they have scholarships within the company.
Right.
And sometimes those people that you meet, those contacts that you get, they can actually put you in that right direction and lead you where you need to go. I mean, and you have to do a lot of the footwork yourself. And I mean, granted, I don't work in a college, but when I say I had a part-time job looking for scholarships and making sure I did not have to pay a dime when I am cheap. I was not paying my money.
Her son will have his bachelor's degree, and he'll be 19 years old.
Wow.
And how much would you have, what would be the total cost after all, would you estimate?
Because the books.
Mm-hmm.
He missed out on a book voucher, it wasn't his fault. But we calculated out of pocket, just that stuff that all his scholarships will not cover is about $6,000.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
that, the reason it's even that much is the dorm he chose. He does not want to stay in a dorm where there is communal bathrooms. And I don't want him, I do want him to.
Oh, man.
So, but
So, hey, we'll put you guys in contact with these people who, you know, can help you one way, or they'll give you contacts to other people too, okay? That can help. Christian, you had something, and we have one last thing. Yeah.
So I heard you guys mention STEM classes.
Mhm.
So currently I'm getting my minor in STEM education.
Mhm.
Do you guys have offer any positions of teaching with I guess like or like have students going in there and just like talking to students? So in high school I interned with Professor Dr. Mohammed Hyder at UAB. And I studied electrical computer engineering for about a whole summer, and then learned how to program robots. And so I had a good time with that. And then I also have experience with mechanical engineering. I've done science fairs at UAB and different things. So and also I'm a part of UAB Teach at UAB, and I teach science courses. So I teach 4th grade science, and then this semester I just finished teaching middle school science. And the next semester I'm teaching high school. But I'm trying to pursue education, become a middle school science teacher. What would you guys recommend me? Like, because I'm in a position where I want to pursue school like completely, but I really can't because of just being tied down to just the life aspects of trying to work all the time and focus on school. What would you recommend?
Why do you have to work all the time?
Well, I made a couple mistakes with community college where I made my GPA drop a little low. So it's like my GPA wasn't high enough to get scholarships.
So now you're paying for school.
So I'm paying for school. So I'm trying to figure out.
And an apartment.
But there are scholarships for middle of the road students.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think because I have a 2.0 I can't get a scholarship. There are scholarships my son didn't qualify for because he had a 3.9, and he was disappointed because they're like $8,000 scholarships, $5,000 scholarships, $2,000 scholarships. And these are for students, they're good students, but their grades are just right in the middle. And the requirements are you can't have over a 3.0. So there are scholarships that you can apply even as a current, student, even as an adult. You again, research. It is hard to find them, but trust me, when you do, it opens a whole new realm. And also, you've got to, you said you want to teach. You can also start with some light shadowing in between your off time. We have some programs at my job where a lot of people, they come in and they do shadowing, and then we can send them, we evaluate how well they're gonna come in and work first, because we're not gonna just send you somewhere and you're not serious. But, you definitely can get with the right people, and they can,
And
figure out.
also, what I would advise is you need to sit with someone, maybe one of our panelists, myself, we need to sit with someone, and we just need to do an honest audit of where you are. And that becomes hard, guys, right?
Well, we have tutoring, and Dr. Davis, our academic dean, she hires tutors, especially if you have gotten an associate, getting your BS degree, or have completed your BS degree, and they pay, I can't remember, $10, $12 an hour to tutor. And with your background, especially with computer science, math, from that standpoint. So, like I say, you can get either my card or Nancy's card, and we can give us a call, and we'll get you in contact with Dr. Davis and come out and set up an interview. And tutoring services are available. And then,
You don't want them, but we can do
and talking about our STEM program, Dr. Briggs, he hired, during the summer, STEM from four-year institutions to come back and work, and that's like maybe a $2,000 or $3,000 stipend just to supervise the 10th, 11th, and 12th graders for the summer.
And I was gonna say, and there are programs like Gear Up.
Yeah.
When I was director of Gear Up, we actually hired in college students to come in and help us with our summer programs. And so they would work 6-7 weeks. They got paid to come and help with what was going on. Some of them were teaching robotics. Some of them were, over dorms. So there were all kinds of different things. So it sounds like you're on the right track with your involvements that you're doing. You're getting the exposure. I just think you need to expand it out a little. Because I'm a firm believer your gifts are going to make room for you. And so you're taking those steps that are actually you're being positioned is what you're being right now. And so taking that next step, getting in touch with, Dean Pruitt, or with Dr. Davis and some of the other individuals, especially with those summer programs. Summer programs are ripe. We can't find enough college students, good quality. Let me preface that. Good quality, dependable, honest college students of high caliber and character to be able to be trusted to help with the high schoolers or with the middle schoolers, because there's a safety side to that too. Because you don't want, college boy with middle school girl. So there's a safety issue that you have to kind of consider in that too. But we can't find enough people, quite honestly.
Pastor Davis, I think you had a question.
I said the question related is we have several students who don't live at home, live on their own, part of the financial problem is not just trying to pay for school, trying to pay for life, but the typical college age students. Is there an advantage for them to file as an independent? On the tax, does it make sense? Is there an advantage there? Because in some situations, they're still carried as dependents even though they're living at home. And
so that means the parents are still
claiming them, and they live outside the house, paying for all their own bills, and with grants, scholarships, grants, Does that make sense?
They look at the
They look at
parents,
that,
they're
yeah.
looking at the parents' income.
Income.
Right.
So they're missing out on
Look at
scholarships.
the parents'
that they
income, but
can
they're not
get,
living at
such
home
as
and they're
FAFSA.
benefiting from it, exactly.
Yeah, they're FAFSA, they're not gonna get all of that money. So depending on that situation, if you find out that, hey, I am on my own,
Right.
but my parents are still claiming me and they're not supposed to, then that is something you have to take up with the IRS. I mean,
But
I
no,
mean,
don't
that,
call ours
that,
on your mom and dad.
no, that's serious. I mean, really, you have to go, of course, go to your parents first.
Yeah,
Go to them first,
Yeah.
but it's something in a negative way. I mean, you really have to protect yourself. You got to protect yourself. And because, I mean, it's a time frame, like this time next year, I am not going to put my son as a dependent. He has to be on his own, that's why he still works, you know, because he's gonna get more money, he's gonna get more scholarships.
Right.
And it's an
And
advantage for him.
It is a big financial
It's a big
advantage.
financial advantage.
It is much more money versus them looking at, this is my money.
Right.
This is not his,
Right.
this is mine. But, I also wanna go back to what you said.
Well, this is tied anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Students that are in school that have had some little financial issues where they have problems, go talk to a financial advisor at the bank. That is free. That costs nothing. Sit down, and when I say you have to be butt naked honest, tell them, I make 4 cents an hour. I don't care if you got $20,000 worth of bills. You walk in with every bill, everything. They will help you get your stuff consolidated. They will try to help your situation because that's their job. This is a free service that the bank offers. Credit union offers. They're not gonna charge you and say you gotta open 9 accounts to get this fixed. I mean, it is effective. If you've got 30 different credit cards, because a lot of college students, I did that in college. I wanted free t-shirts, so I got every credit card. Yeah, and free pizza, and, you know, debit cards and all that. But, you know, I had credit card debt, but I literally sat down with the financial planner, consolidated everything, got it all paid. I mean,
That might be where you are.
it can be something that can help you, and it'll alleviate a lot of stress to where you can go back to school, or you can take a class online and not miss work. So
And that's what I was saying, that
it's
that some of
structured.
us, that we're gonna have to sit down tonight and have to just do an honest audit of where you are, you know, it can be financial, whatever, so you can get some good advice as to where do I go from here. Because if you don't get that good advice, guys, you're gonna keep going around the same circle.
Yeah, that's right.
You're gonna be going around the same circle, right back there.
And before you answer his question, because he's had one for a long time, I just wanted to add this. It's really important when you start dealing with the financial aid piece, because now you're dealing with the federal government involved. I think it's important for the student to go and talk with a financial aid counselor at that school and explain their situation to them, because there are ways that they can help petition for independence. And they can tell the student, this is what you're going to have to do to be considered independent and not need the parent stuff. I had a student that the parent was in jail, but they were still independent. But that child was homeless, sleeping on people's couches
As a dependent.
as a dependent of an incarcerated parent. And so, there are guidelines for financial aid offices to assist with helping that student be able to claim their independence for financial purposes. So, you know, utilize those resources of your financial aid offices. There's, you know, they have advisors on campus, and that's what they do.
It's good.
So,
Thank you so much.
Right here?
So basically, I'm from Nashville. I moved here to Birmingham a year and a half ago, and so my plan was I went to a community college for a year, and then I moved here. And so basically, my plan was to kind of sit out for a year just to kind of get comfortable here and make everything kind of meet up. And so basically, I was trying to go back to school at Lawson State.
Okay.
And so when I applied, got my classes and stuff like that, and then I couldn't go because for me, yes, I didn't do my research, and so research is key. And so I was kind of banking on student loan, and so basically, as you know,
We don't
We don't
have
take-
those.
I don't have
We
student
don't
loans.
take loans.
And so I couldn't, you know, enroll and stuff like that and take my classes and stuff like that. And so now it's just, right now I'm just kind of working and stuff like that, just trying to figure out what I want to do in life. If I want to go back to school or if I should just keep working or stuff like that. And so basically, like, yeah, I understand, like, growing up, you know, I wanted to go to college, you know, because I wanted a higher education just so I could have a better job, some more tools in my toolbox, you know. And so I'm just kind of seeing, like, if I could meet with one of y'all or all y'all, you know, just to kind of get an idea, just to see,
How
you
long
know,
have you been in the state?
a year and a half. Year and a half.
We're discussing.
Hey, hey, I like that.
As you were talking, we were like, he's out of state.
Yeah,
Like,
sometimes
he's out of state.
But he
Yeah.
should be meeting
Sometimes
residents.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about.
You're like so
Yeah.
close.
And we'll get you in contact,
Well,
get them numbers and stuff, and so we can get that information. It can help you come up with a plan.
Yeah, and that's what I need. I needed to come up with a plan to see if this is actually what I want to do. And so-
well, I'm gonna ask you a question. What do you want to do? Don't tell me you wanna go back to school, because that's too broad.
Yeah,
So what do you want to do? Where do you want to work? Who do you wanna work for? What do you want to do?
honestly, I don't even know.
Okay, well, you need to think about
Yeah.
that. I'll be happy to talk to you, and I will be happy to give you one of those tests and let
Yeah.
you go through it and
Okay.
decide what you really like.
Okay.
And we can discuss it at that point, but you
Okay.
really need to decide what you wanna do, not just, I wanna go back to school.
Yeah.
And
I
can
have
be-
told more students that you're not really ready for this yet.
Yeah.
And I know that this is my job, and I love to have students, so y'all don't get me wrong when I tell you I've turned them away, but there are some people that just aren't ready.
Yeah.
You are ready, you just need to figure out what you wanna do.
Yeah.
And I
So we
get
need
you-
to find you
yeah,
a
and-
path.
And I get you in touch with the financial aid person at our school.
Okay.
Can help you
Talk
get
to
out
you.
of state.
Yeah.
Cause I got a lot of interests and stuff like that. Like I work on cars right now, and I like
We
working
have
with
an
my
automotive
hands.
program.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah, I like working with my hands, but then also I want to do something like on the sports side or medicine and stuff like that. So it's
Come
just
out.
my mind.
Yeah.
is-
Yeah, you need to come out there.
So we'll get you.
Biomedical machine operation and repair.
There you go.
That's sports and all that stuff.
And so, and I wanted to say this, you know, it's good to have multiple interests. You know, we're multifaceted people. Like, you know, we're just not interested in one thing.
Yeah.
And that's okay, don't dim that. The fact that you like to tinker and do stuff, that's awesome. That's one of your gifts.
Yeah.
Cultivate it. You know, so don't feel like, okay, I have to completely ignore this thing that I'm interested in for this thing.
Yeah.
You know, I teach, but I also do, you know, planning on the side, and I also do consulting over here. I have multiple interests. I'm
Yeah.
multifaceted.
Don't get late in the hours, so I'm gonna take one more question
Okay.
and then wrap it up toward the end. Is that okay?
You the boss.
No. I was watching everybody follow me, and I didn't know what time it was.
You're a wise man, I think it's a good plan.
All right, okay.
Hi, I'm a junior communication studies major at Stanford University, and I'm looking into master's and master's PhD programs. What are you guys recommending next steps for students? I have some,
What's your
like master's communication studies.
I think starting now is where you should be looking. Really looking at, are you, with the master's program, are you planning on continuing in the field that you're in? Are you wanting to diversify what you're currently doing? Or are you wanting to kind of do a complementary program? Like say for instance, where you're doing communications, are you wanting to maybe do something, you know, another concentration that kind of gives you a different aspect of it?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
ask yourself those questions now. Because a lot of times, especially if you want to go straight through, I went straight through. I went from going to the community college to going to the 4-year and then an internship at the 4 years, part of my degree, and ended up staying there to get my master's. Had no desire to get a master's. It just, door opened up. And so I think being a junior is a good time to start thinking about it, because see, okay, if you're gonna have to take placement tests, give you time to be able to prepare for that. See what schools actually have the master's program in what you want. And looking at those type situations, applying for scholarships. Yes, there are scholarships for master's programs. Okay? You know, so looking at that, internships, even, you know, when you get to that side with your graduate degree, you have graduate assistance programs, graduate teaching opportunities that literally are your stipends to do what you're going to school to do. So
Are you limited to this area?
No,
You're not?
most of the programs. A lot more international programs.
But I mean, for your master's program, so talking to you, there's this parent, but you know, southeastern area, you know, look at other states.
Hey, is it fair?
Well, yeah, we look at just other options that are feasible right now. When I was in Louisiana, you know, I was in one particular program, and then, and I knew I wanted to go back and be an administrator, so my advisor sat with me, and that's the first question he asked me, he said, are you mobile? I said, depends on, you know, where you're trying to send me. And so we had like 5 different states, right, that we looked at. And this university sent me on a scholarship to another university that paid for my PhD.
Wow.
She paid for my room and board.
Wow.
And
She's
so,
mobile now.
mobile.
Yes, kind of, but I'm
Kind of?
exempt.
Okay, so, because you said international also,
Australia and Canada.
okay, so you'll cross water.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of, I'm sorry.
She's about to-
She's about to get paid.
They better pay her.
A lot, they're gonna pay her.
Okay.
So a lot of places, especially depending on how far you're willing to go or how far you're allowed to go. Some people go third world countries, some people go, you know, Australia, because they do want that outside education to come in. And it's just like with any job, if they have somebody coming to a rural area where they don't have access to someone with your talents, they will pay for you to finish school,
And
and you
again,
pay nothing.
she said something before, the rural area. So all you have to do is, you know,
Research.
She gets people to help you, but look at those different places. You could be somewhere right in Alabama. Wrong, depending on what your major in. Push her that black belt.
Really bad it used to be.
So,
One other thing, you may want to look at what type of job you want, and back to what she said a few minutes ago, call some of those companies and see if they will talk to you and tell you what you need,
Yes,
and then go that route.
That's your research. You know,
hospitals
who knows
too.
who knows where to take you. Communication, you know, that's just wide open right now. You know, you just have to look at the world stage and how many companies, whether it's a law enforcement company, hospitals, like you said, they need people to help them communicate to the public. And so, even how they, so it's just wide open.
It's Raycon Media, I think that's the scholarship, it's through Raycon.
Raycom, that's my next door neighbor.
It is?
Really?
Yeah, so.
Then you better get a
That's just how easy this thing is. Putting yourself.
He works for Raycom.
Yeah, putting yourself in front of people
He really does.
that have information.
He actually came out to the college and did a seminar on how to interview, and he's actually in communications at Raycom.
Yeah, so as we close, guys, if I can just wrap up, I'll tell you guys that one of the things, whatever you decide, you know, come up with a good plan, put a pathway together. You know, it doesn't matter, you can start off with a 2-year. It might lead you to a 4-year, to a master, to a PhD. But you know, you just keep going, keep pushing and finding those things. And we'll continue to do more things like this.
Oh,
Yeah, so
absolutely.
we can give you that information.
Oh, thank you so much.
Quick question.
Quick question, yeah, that's not representative.
Sorry, so for, people, for instance, who are not here tonight or, are like full-time employees, are there websites that have these lists of scholarships or, any, like, resources that they can, find some information on funding or scholarships without having to have a contact with one of you directly?
County, go look where, whatever your county is,
Okay.
start there, your state, your city, and, when you go on, you should not have to pay for a scholarship website. Do not fall into that. It is not, you don't pay. You pay nothing. I'll tell y'all my son's favorite. It takes 45 minutes to set up a profile, but they will match you with your scholarship no matter your age. And again, they start at 10. It is Unigo, U-N-I-G-O. It is Unigo, and it takes about 25 to 45 minutes to set up your profile, but it is very detailed. They have religious scholarships. They have scholarships based on your religion, based on your height, based on if you're vegan. Non-traditional, but they have scholarships for athletes. They have scholarships for people that are in the STEM program.
So if you've been
Art
injured,
program, if you've been injured, if you have a family member that is in the military, you know, these things run the gamut. So don't think, I mean, you can be interracial, you can have 1% Eskimo. Trust me, there are
Yeah.
scholarship sites on here, and it is all, I mean, just Coca-Cola scholarship is on there. So instead of individually looking for one company, you can go to that one site, and it's gonna put you in contact with a whole lot of scholarships. Yeah. And it's free. Scholarship, they should not, you don't have to pay for sites.
Thank you.
Well, look,
Thank you.
this was amazing.
Yes, it was.
Let's do a big hand. You know, my mom was a lifetime educator. She went on to glory 2 years ago, and I asked her for education. I know she's smiling. Not just because what she represented, but she has hearts for education.
Yes.
True educators, and I appreciate that. But thank you again. I don't know how much time they have, but if you need help with your education, you need to try to tackle them. Take all the cards, get all the email addresses. Do not let the opportunity to miss you. You get past you by. That's all I got to recommend for you. Now we have some gifts, and far less than you guys deserve, for Dr. Pruitt. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so